Our great-grandparents and their parents, our great-great-grandparents, allowed socialism to be pushed into this country. They accepted it with open arms because they thought, I need help. I can't do it on my own. We need socialist checks, welfare. Government told them that Social Security numbers would never be used against the people for tracking. We see how that went, right? And that was said. They're now pushing socialism in, and we're watching it happen. Don't think that, we're fighting against it and it's not fucking happening. It's here. Socialism is here. Communism is knocking. If it's not already here. We have billionaires running the country now. Mr. Microsoft guy just bought 250,000 acres of farmland. Who is going to control what you eat when they are the producer of everything that you eat? He says it's to get rid of, eating protein, which I guess I don't think everybody should be a soy boy. There's got to be construction workers, ditch diggers, and septic tank diggers. But that's his goal. That's what he said, apparently. I didn't hear him say it. I don't know that he said it. It was just said that's what he said. And everybody's waiting for the next guy. Everybody has their line in the sand. Where, supposedly they have their line of what's enough. If you ain't had enough by now, you're in the wrong country. You need to pack your shit up and go ahead and move to China, because that's where they're pushing for this country to be like. And it's going to be like that. There's this thing called the point of no return. What that means is, if you're going from point A to B, at the point of no return, it is faster to continue on to B than it is to turn around to go to A. We're passing that point right now in our lifetimes. We're passing that point to where really there's no way to go back to point A. We're not going to get back to even the illusion of freedom. And that's all it was. That's all it's been. They give you the illusion of choice. They give you the illusion of being free. But then you're only allowed to be as free as they say you can. That's not freedom. And it can be stopped. But they do things like, I'll give you an example. When the day of the Capitol siege, the next morning, actually, I had talked to one of my subs. And I told him, I said, you watch, they're going to start arresting every one of these bastards. And the reason they're going to do it when they haven't touched not one of them other son of bitches that was burning shit to the ground all summer is to put fear in those people. That, if I take part in this, I will go to prison. If I take part in this, I will go to jail. These same people who are now fearful of going to jail or taking part in this shit are the same ones that have been rah-rahing about Civil War and boogalooing for the past 3 years. That aren't going to do anything. They're keyboard warriors. They sit behind the keyboard, they type what they aren't man enough to say. People are censoring themselves. Shit, even I censor myself sometimes. Not so much because I worry about my door getting kicked in or something like that, because that's going to happen anyway. Even though I don't break any of their laws, that's still going to happen. I censor myself just to be able to get the message out, because if I don't, the algorithm will pick it up, the video won't upload, it won't process. It'll upload, but it won't process. Before, when I was uploading videos and it was processing immediately, now sometimes it takes 2 or 3 hours to process. The federal government, the people in the federal government, I don't want to say the whole federal government, but people in the federal government have made alliances with those in the public sector, the private sector. The private sector, in order to shove communism down your throat, because it makes them wealthier. The past year, the poor have got poorer, the rich have got richer. Go look at the top 5 earners for last year, and it's all the people you would expect: Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, the Waltons. Who else? I forget who the other guys are, but it's all the people you would expect, the big box stores. While they shut mom and pop stores down. Now Biden's going to enact this $15 an hour minimum wage. I said it made people poor, which I obviously didn't explain it good enough because some people didn't understand. It makes people poor not because of the wage. The wage stays the same. The money has less value, though, because, number one, inflation. Do you remember what Jefferson said about inflation and deflation? Let private banks control our money, our monetary system. What it does is now that everybody can afford the $800 apartment, the $800 is supply and demand. Now that $800 apartment has to go up to $1,100 because people are willing to pay it because they can afford to pay it. Nobody gets richer. Everybody gets poorer. And that's their goal. Their goal is for you to need them full time. And right now, we have the means to stop it. We have the means to stop it. People won't do it. Nobody's willing to say, I've had enough. Nobody's willing to kiss their wives and walk away, or their homes. I had somebody tell me this morning, they said something about, people needed to, something about their property. Like, well, if you're still worried about your property, you're part of the problem. If you ain't willing to walk away from that $250,000 log cabin that you built out in the woods, if you live there by yourself, light a match as you walk away, or if you ain't willing to kiss your wife and kids goodbye and walk away, you're part of the problem. It's not going to be solved any other way. That's a fact. It's not going to be solved by being nice or through elections, by voting, calling your congressman. Ain't none of that shit going to solve this. The only thing that's going to solve it is brute force. That is it. That is the one and only thing that's going to solve this. And people are afraid to say that. Why? Well, obvious reasons. Because you're not allowed to say what you want to say anymore. Your speech is no longer protected. At one time, it took an action. There had to be a victim for it to be a crime. And then they changed it to where you at least had to commit an action. There had to be an action involved. You couldn't just say something and go to jail. Then they changed that to where you could say shit and they justify taking you to jail because of what other people could do. And now, if you just say something and nobody does anything, they will take you to jail. Incrementally, over time, they have chipped away at everything. And everybody knows that. It's not a secret. We keep seeing, how many people have we, I ask myself all the time, how many people over the years have I seen on the 11 o'clock news that were fighting for freedom? And the news passed them off as a criminal. The chief of police passed them off as a criminal. And I bit onto it and looked at them like they were a criminal, when they really wasn't. Our government's created boogeymans for the last 2 decades to incrementally take more and more shit away. Mainly our privacy. If they're taking our privacy away, you know how many people they disarmed through violating your right to privacy? Where they've seen that they made a purchase on arms list through stealing their electronic data. What the next move is guns. They've been after guns, but the next move is really guns. And they don't have to take your guns. There's a lot of different ways they could do this. And they don't actually have to take your guns. They could just create an executive order banning ammo. The manufacturer of ammo. They could call ammo destructive devices and make you be licensed. Or they could pass something that, and I know there's a bill in Congress right now about licensing for possession of ammo and shit, but that's that horse Sheila Jackson, and I don't even think there's any co-signers on that bill. It's not something to really be worried about. I'd be more worried about executive orders. Why? Because Trump made banning shit through executive orders the new precedents. They can do what they want now. You now elect to, before they hit it, they're now not even hiding what they do. That thing that just happened with everybody has one. They can go there and they say, hey, this is the person I want. That thing, you can't even talk about this anymore on YouTube, or they won't put your fucking video up. It's frustrating. It's frustrating to know that people are just unwilling. There's probably a couple people. There's You know, a guy in South Carolina, a guy in Indiana, somebody in Ohio, maybe a couple people in Kentucky, that would right now say, you know what, it's game on. But then you can't even talk to those people. You can't talk to them. We have the right to abolish or change our government at any time we choose, and we can't even fucking talk about doing either one. What amazes me is there's people out here declaring independence, and the federal government hasn't done nothing to them yet. Why? I don't know. And do we need a new Declaration of Independence? I would say no. I would say no, we don't. Because that opens up a whole new world of problems. A whole new standard. You know, right now we have a standard. We have our Declaration of Independence, our Constitution, the documents that surrounded them, like the Federalist Papers, the Anti-Federalists. What we need to do is get back to at least pre-1871, preferably pre-1830. We need to do away with the police forces. We need to do away with these courts that are enforcing maritime law, and these admiralty courts. And that's what they are. You could say they're not. You could say I'm crazy. You could say patriotic constitutionalist is crazy. But if you look at the evidence, if you look at the facts, the verifiable facts that are on paper, written and signed by the assholes in office, you'll see it's all true. The longer we wait, the worse it gets. Now, I think at this point, we could fix it. It wouldn't be pretty. It wouldn't be nice. Nobody would be comfortable. Life would suck. People would die. People would bleed. You probably wouldn't make it. I wouldn't make it. But I think that's a small price to pay it forward for what somebody gave me, but I didn't receive. The intent was there. Everybody dreams that this day is going to come where they're just going to wake up and there's going to be like a flash on the TV screen that says go time. It's not going to happen. It's showing up to a Capitol, armed or unarmed, really. I was going to say unarmed, but armed anyway isn't the way to go. Because nobody is going to fucking have your back. Just like that female in D.C. that died. They shot her ass, they turned around and said, get out. And everybody dropped their head and walked out the door. That's what happened. You can say I'm full of shit. You can say that ain't what happened. That's what happened. There's plenty of video evidence out there to prove this. Now they're pushing the dollar out, and part of this $15 minimum wage, this shit's part of it. It's going to be part of it. And they're trying to push this cryptocurrency, and they're now allowing banks to pay debts to other banks in cryptocurrency. When before the FCC wouldn't allow that to happen, or the Federal Trade Commission, or whatever it is, now they're allowing it. Why? Because the world is waking up to the dollar is worthless. The dollar has been propped up by threats of violence and force for decades. Since at least Clinton. Just since Bill Clinton is in office, we've went $30 trillion in debt. Now, I know it says 23 or 24.3 or whatever. That's a lie. Trump just signed a 6.2 trillion. There's 6.2 off the rip, so add that to it. Let's not forget about the $130 trillion in unfunded liabilities. Like Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, that we shouldn't have any of. Through threats of violence and force, war, and the petrodollar is the only thing that's holding it up. But you guess what's about to happen? The Chinese yuan, or whatever it's called, is about to, if I had to guess, is going to be what the OPEC trades with. And if you have the oil, you control the world. And we hold the oil because our dollar is what oil is traded with. If you want to buy oil through OPEC. And OPEC happens to be the trading, basically association for all the countries that create oil. Do you want to know why that is? Because all these countries that do this have accounts. Guess where? At the Federal Reserve. So when they sell 100% of their oil for this year, 70% of that money goes back into the Federal Reserve to draw interest. That money is then supposedly loaned to the United States. But where does that money come from? If no country in the world has gold-backed currency anymore, Gaddafi had a gold-backed currency, and they killed him less than a year later, 18 months later. Well, Saddam Hussein went to the euro for his oil, which immediately then cost the United States 50% more for their oil, our oil, around 50%, somewhere in there. Less than 10 months later, we went to Iraq and we offed his ass. After decades of him gassing his own people, just by chance, after he said, fuck you all, I don't want your dollar, I'm going to start trading with euros, then the United States goes in and takes him out. And then while we're there, well, we might as well go right over the border over here. We might as well wipe out a couple 100,000, maybe 1 million of these people too, just to make sure we have control of them. And the whole time they sold it to you as these people were terrorists, and you bit. And I bit too. For a long time I bit on it. It's not the truth. This thing in my hand and that thing in your living room is a disease. It's a disease that changed this country for the worse. That's neither here nor there because we're here now. So what do? Our Constitution is only words on parchment without force behind it. If you read the Federalist Papers, all the way through it, the people will pick up arms. The people can take up arms. The people will have arms. We are a society founded on violence. It's sad but true. Violence solves everything. The other day I was in a conversation with somebody. I might have been on a live stream, so that was the thing that's true, guys. The only thing certain in life is death and taxes. The other thing is violence solves everything. There's not a problem in the world violence will not solve. Like, I'm not a violent dude. I don't want to see anybody ever get hurt. There's all different kinds of violence, though. It doesn't just have to be physical violence. But I don't want to see anybody get hurt ever. But if it means you dying and me being free, guess what's going to happen? I would have no problems offing you. Wouldn't think twice about it. Should have left me alone. I just want to be left alone. On an individual scale, like just me, I probably am going to be left alone until the day comes when my card's drawn and they come to my house that day. For no reason, because we don't do anything there. Nothing's illegal. Not even illegal by their terms. Nothing's illegal. We go out of our way to make sure that there is not. Because we know, because I talk a lot of shit. Not that I talk shit, but like I talk a lot of shit to them. That they're going to come. They're going to send the goons in. You know, we can't even straighten it out through our states now. Our state governments are in on it. Governors are in on it. They allow the federal government to come in our states and rule over the states. If you think it's bad this year, wait till next year. And when you think that's bad, wait till the year after that. And when you think that's fucking bad, wait till the year after that, because it's going to incrementally get worse, exponentially faster now. That's where we're at. And they're not even trying to hide it from us. Any of it. And we all sit back and we wait. Like, I'm sick of waiting. Plain and simple, I'm sick of waiting. I'm sick of waiting of a solution. People want a plan. There can't be a plan. Because if you make a fucking plan, you're not going to make it there to follow through with the plan. So what you do is, you have a picnic, a get-together, a play date, call whatever the hell you want, I don't care. And then you have to put trust in the people that are like-minded. And then once you get there, you can't even talk about it. You just have to do. Because if you talk about it and then you have some informant in your group, it's over at that point. They will come in with Blackhawks and Hellfires and fucking just make your ass go away if they have to. And I know people think I'm playing when I say that. Look at the DC right now. People want to pretend like, oh, Trump's straying in on it. Who's the commander-in-chief of the military forces? Trump, right? You think he has a little bit of say of the National Guard setting up shop in D.C.? 30,000 National Guardsmen setting up shop in D.C.? I mean, I could be wrong, but I mean, surely the guy needs to notice they're there, right? Yeah, I've been talking for 20 minutes. Fed up, people. Fed up. I'm sick of being rolled over. I'm 40 years old and I've realized, being 40, I just turned 40, that my whole life I've been rolled over. Like, I've literally been rolled over. And not even that I've been rolled over, I knew that. But by who I've been rolled over. Rolled over is the problem. And why? About money. About real money. Not currency. Money. It's about the handful of families who profit off the sweat of the billions. And it has to stop. We have to stop using their banking system. We have to stop. It has to stop, all of it. I could sit here and name 100 things. It has to stop. But more importantly, that force needs to be implied. We have a duty to enforce our Constitution. There's nothing illegal about that. They're going to hang us, guys. They're going to hang us. And if we wait as long as you want to wait, I had a conversation with somebody the other day. I'm not going to mention who, because some of you guys know him. But I said, we're there. It's time. And they said, oh, calm down, calm down. They're not blocking the streets yet. They don't have to block the streets. If they made it to where you couldn't leave a 50-mile radius from your home, it's over at that point. It's done. Because in order for me to get to you, I would have to get through 10 of those. How are you going to get through 10 of those? You got to fight. And you got to fight on your own. They're coming for the guns. Now, it's going to be an executive order. Guarantee it. Guarantee it. I'd bet my life on it. Now, they might let Sheila Jackson Lee's little thing go a little bit, and then when it doesn't get any co-signers or anything, doesn't make it through committee, then they'll do an executive order. And then you can't do anything really, because if you get caught driving down the road in your truck with that 556 sticker on the back windshield, and you get pulled over on the way to come pick me up, now you're done. You're toast. You're in jail. You're in prison for doing nothing. Because you didn't follow their fucking rules that they laid out for you, because they want you to think like they do. I'm tired of even hearing what they think about.